Hello everyone, Xiao here, and today I will be showcasing a application called CompactGUI. This application allows you to use the built-in Windows 10/11 APIs, being the compact.exe. This allows you to compress files and folders easily while still making the files inside those folders accessible by the Windows system. So normally when you compress data, such as a 7-zip file, a zip file, a WinRAR file, and so on, the data inside that folder is not easily accessible. Now yes, you could use a special explorer that allows you to explore them. However, this is a better alternative in one sense, but also not in another sense, which I will be showcasing today. So to begin, we need to actually get the CompactGUI application. So once again, as you can see, this transparently compresses active games and programs using the Windows 10 and 11 API. However, you can actually compress any file and folder. However, it is recommended to use for games or applications, but in this case, I will just be using it with folder examples. I will have at the end the actual games section, some screenshots of that, but for now, we're just using it for this partial demo is just on some folders I have pre-made. So you can read all this information in the README file. However, the most important thing is right here. So it's already built into your system. You're not really downloading an application that isn't really part of Windows, other than the fact that it's just a graphical user interface for the part that's in Windows. So here we can talk about this. However, once again, I already kind of went over that, where you're still able to access the files even when they're compressed. So to download this, the GitHub page, this will be in the description, but we are going to go to releases and versions. In this case, the most recent release is 3.2.1, and you can read some of this stuff here. However, by default, it should work right out of the box. So we're going to download CompactGUI.exe. I'm just going to open it. I'm not going to save it to my system, but you can save it to the system, especially if you're using it often. Because when you are using this application, if you rewrite the file or save it as a new version, it will most likely, in fact I know it will, save as a raw data information file. So this application will compress your data. However, if that data gets changed or rewritten to, or renamed or something, it will no longer be compressed. So here we're going to select our target folder. And in this case, I have a folder preset, 2 of them right here. So I'm going to go 3D models. And I'm going to open that. So currently our 3D models folder is 1.6 gigabytes in size. And there is an estimated size, which I believe is mostly for the actual games, because people can log the game sizes or whatever and upload them to a database. But in this case, this is just a random folder, so it doesn't really have an estimated size. There's different compression modes, but I will be default to this Express 4K format, but there are other ones. If I had to guess, I haven't read all the documentation on the different compression modes. However, it is more about efficiency. And I'm just going to leave it at Express 4K because that's what's been working for me, so that's what I think will work for you. Now, there is a way to skip poorly compressed files. This allows the CompactGUI to recognize a file format, such as a video file, and not compress it. That is because video files are already compressed using the codec, which can be explained in other videos around YouTube all over the place. But basically, the point of that is some files are not easily compressed, so you might go from, let's say, 900 megabytes to 890 megabytes, which you're not really saving that much. Or maybe even no savings. It goes from 700 megabytes to 700 megabytes. So this allows you to skip those type of files. In this case, I'm not going to skip that, just so I can show that every file opens without any issues, because if I do skip some files in this folder, then I can't be for certain which files did get skipped over. In this case, you can also say skip other file formats that are user submitted, such as if a user finds out that this one specific file format is not compressed very easily and it's not already on the default list, this can be used. Watch for folder changes allows this program, I don't believe the actual CompactGUI does it. I think it's the compact.exe, which is a built-in Windows API. It allows it to recognize when the file is changed and will recompress it. So as I was saying, if you make the file a different file, such as making a new save version of it, or maybe just the game gets updated, as games do get updated in a file, and inside the game folder maybe changes to a new file, that won't be compressed. This allows it to just recompress it. So I'm just going to leave it default how it is and go ahead and compress these. Now as you can see, I went from 1.6 gigabytes to 700 megabytes. That's because most 3D model folder file types, such as STL files, which is mostly what this folder contains, can be easily compressed. So I saved a whole 800 megabytes about compressing these files. Now that might not seem like a lot, because 800 megabytes does not get you much. But now imagine if this was a 16 gigabyte folder of 3D models. That would be 8 gigabytes right there. That is why compression is so important and so useful. Now one thing to note though, is while this does work on many systems, the faster your computer is, the faster it can compress the files. However, I don't believe there should be a huge penalty for load times or anything if you do compress the files. So now let's go over to my file viewer here, and I'm going to open up one of my 3D models. So Prusa Slicer is the one I use for 3D models. Don't worry about any of that. But as you can see, the file's still open perfectly fine. The file is there, and I can do whatever I need to. Now, the one thing to know though, is if I save this project, where is it? Here we go, export, and I export the plate as an STLR object, and I save it to the exact name it already is, which is this 44 kilobyte file. If I go ahead and replace that file, it is now no longer 44 kilobit. It is now a little bit bigger. That is because it is no longer compressed. We're using the compressed GUI. So it went from about 44 point something to this 44.9-ish, which isn't a lot, but again, that can add up. So that's what I was talking about if you rewrite the file or whatever else, that's what that is. So let's try another folder. In this case, I'll be trying this photos folder. So this is a folder full of JPEG files. Now JPEG files are already mostly compressed and they're lossy, which simply means some fidelity in the file and quality is lost when you compress them to JPEGs. But let's not worry about that too much. Let's just go ahead and compress this folder. As you can see, I only saved 1 megabyte. So let's go to that folder right now. So now this file might look a little messed up, but I can rest assured this is not the actual CompactGUI doing that. This photo was already messed up when I moved it to my computer. Now as you can see, the thumbnails are still working perfectly fine. You can still see the detail in there, and you can still open the photo itself perfectly fine. No issues there. So this tool is great, and I mean wonderfully great, to compress folders that are bigger, that are full of files that can be compressed, as well as game files, which I will be showing now. As we get to the video game portion where we compress the actual game files, I would like to remind you to definitely like and subscribe if this content is helping you, or if you want to see any more technology content. Anyway, let's get to the files of game files. So once again, we have the CompactGUI interface, and we're going to pick a new folder. Now in this case, we need to know where the game file is actually downloaded to. So in this case, Steam Library is usually downloaded to your C drive or any other drive that you downloaded them to. But we will go to Steam Library, Steam Apps, Common, and we're going to find the game itself. In this case, I'll be showcasing this SpongeBob game, and here we can say, okay, it is 7.7 gigabytes. Now, it is estimated that it's only going to compress it a little bit. That is because someone has already compressed this game, and so it can kind of detect how big that's going to be now. But we're just going to compress it anyway. We're going to click the Express format and just go ahead and compress it. Now as you can see, it didn't actually save that much. So that is very unfortunate for this game. However, there are games that do compress a lot better. These are usually bigger games, such as Baldur's Gate, The Witcher, and games like those, which I will be showing now. So I will once again look for a folder. I'm going to go to my games folder here. I'm going to go to Steam Library, Steam Apps, and Common. In this case, I'm going to pick Baldur's Gate 3. I'm going to select this folder, and as you can see, it says it's going to save 20 gigabytes. Now, this is because multiple people have submitted data on how big the game is and how much data is saved. Now, as you can see, the X4 isn't very efficient in saving space, however, it is very efficient in speed. And that's again what I will be doing here. So I'm going to go ahead and compress. I'm going to go ahead and click the standard format, and I'm going to actually skip poorly compressed files. And I'm just going to go ahead and compress. Now, this typically takes a while, I'm not going to lie, because it's going through each file and sometimes rewriting the file if it is being compressed to a specific way. So this is reliant on your CPU speed, I believe RAM as well, about how much RAM you have, not the speed of your RAM, as well as the speed of the actual drive. So this game right now is actually stored on my hard drive, so it's actually going to take a while, so you'll just have to listen to me talk. But because it's on a hard drive, it's going to take a little longer to read all the data and then write all the data of the game. But as it goes through all this, it is very important to know, once again, this is a built-in Windows feature, and this graphical user interface is simply just utilizing that Windows feature. So for as far as I know and as far as the internet knows, this is a completely safe program, so no worries there. And it is a very useful program. I saved 800 megabytes, or almost 50% of space, just compressing my 3D models. And because 3D models aren't really changed that much, especially when they're downloaded or whatever else, or finalized as an STL, it saves a lot of space. Now, there's no real reason to compress your .blend files, because those are always changing and being written to. But files such as STLs and OBJs, I believe PNG is also pretty compressible, document files, PDF files, so much more, are so compressed it is really helpful to have a tool like this. And as you can see, this game is also compressing very well. Once again, it's estimated to be 20 gigabytes smaller, and guess what? 20 gigabytes is about a small game. That's a whole other game you can fit on your drive now by compressing your data. So I'm going to go let this finish, but once again, definitely like and subscribe for that. This is helping you, and I'll get back to you when this finishes. So in this case, we only saved 8%, but that is still a whole 12 gigabytes that was saved by simply using this tool. So this tool is once again great for games that are large, such as this where you're saving 10 gigabytes, as well as type of files that are easily compressible, such as documents, PDFs, so on and so on, 3D models, blah blah blah. So that's it for this software showcase. I really hope you liked it. Definitely like and subscribe if this helped you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.